My name's Annelies James, and today I'm joined with James Welsh, serial entrepreneur and multiple business owner.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
So, serial entrepreneur, eh? Tell me more about this.
It's not actually something that I really enjoy. But I think it's probably the best description of what I do. So I'm very lucky. I have 4 businesses now. Mm-hmm. So across multiple different kind of platforms and industries. So I think serial entrepreneur is probably the best description.
I love it. So what businesses do you own? Because you've got multiple, but they've got sort of a symbiotic relationship, right? They all feed each other.
Yeah. So I think kind of businesses that feed each other is probably the only way to have multiple businesses. Mm-hmm. If one was, totally alien from the other, I think it'd be very difficult to run them. So I have a school sport business, so we work with about 42 schools across the South Coast, delivering breakfast, holiday care, PE sport into the schools, CPD for teachers, qualifications for teachers around sport. So I think there's obviously a huge agenda around kind of sport, health, well-being at the moment.
That's really important, actually, a really important focus, isn't it?
Yeah, I think massively. I think if we can get the next 3 or 4 generations to be probably healthier than we are, we're onto a winner. So got that one. An education and training business. So we do online, distance, apprenticeships, full-time study programs from sport, first aid, health and safety, to business studies. Yeah, there's about 180 odd courses.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah. So
you're a busy boy.
Yeah, it keeps me out of trouble.
So how do you manage then? What's your week look like? Your day-to-day, week to week? How do you manage?
So I don't really, I think because you hit on it earlier that they all feed into each other, I don't really set out with Mondays will be one, Tuesdays will be another. I think it's a case of do the priority tasks. So I think if the tasks are 3 tasks A tasks, they have to be done that day. Yeah. That might be that it's one task on 3 different businesses, but it might be one day that's 3 tasks on one business. So I think it's a case of strategically planning your time a little bit, but don't be so rigid that you can't take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves.
You must be an organisational genius.
Not really. Actually, probably the opposite way. Okay. There's a lot of people probably around me that are very good at organising me.
Okay, I like it. So you get a good team around you to sort you out?
Yeah.
I love it.
Good people. There's always good people.
Amazing. So I think that one of your greatest qualities, is something I've talked to you about before, is that you're a revenue-generating machine. You've got a theory about other people's money, haven't you? Tell me about this.
So in my first business, it was always talked about leverage and understanding, so putting a small amount of money in and then being able to use the sales and the money that you made to grow the business rather than you constantly having to invest. So I call it OPM, other people's money, and it's constantly just looking at your cash flows of how you can use your cash flow and other people's money, i.e. sales, to grow your business and help your business understand. So I think one of the key things with other people's money is margin. There's so many people out there running businesses, but their margins are so tight and so short that actually they never get to the point where they've got other people's money to be able to use to build their business. So my kind of greatest example of other people's money is, so I've just started to kind of look at growing a property portfolio, and got to a point very luckily where one of them is up for a remortgage. So I've taken the growth on the capital out of that to be able to then purchase another house. So it's almost like a free house. The asset is buying the other asset. And I was actually reading something the other day by Rob Moore, actually, and he was talking about how if you're ever going to buy a liability, so including your own home, because your own home in theory is a liability, that it should only ever be paid for by an asset, which is quite an interesting one, that, buy assets to then buy liability. So, it's...
What would you say is your greatest asset that you have?
Patience. I think a lot of people, they think everything happens overnight, and the more you kind of investigate the biggest companies in the world, entrepreneurs, whatever, everybody thinks they're an overnight success, but when you actually look at their stories, it's 20 years to become an overnight success. Look at KFC. Colonel Sanders was in his 50s, 60s before he actually gained success. All they see is the KFC brand today, not what people have had to go through to get there. So I think patience is a huge one. Sometimes not sacrificing yourself, but being willing to pay the price to get to the next level, I think.
Since I've started, I literally work my arse off all the time. And people are like, oh yeah, you're just running a business. And I'm like, it's actually much harder than anyone expects. And people just look at the success and they think, oh yeah, cool. I'm not saying I'm particularly...
Well, I think everybody wants people to do well, but they don't want them to do too well. And I think when they see you running around doing it, I can remember very early on in mine that I had a falling out with a friend over a Christmas party that we got a big event in at work. Spoke to everybody at work, was like, would you be willing to work that day? Everybody was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, well, I've got a Christmas party booked, but I'm willing to pay that sacrifice and not go. I fell out hugely with that person because they just couldn't get it. But I knew that it was something that I needed to do because further down the line it was going to pay. It was going to pay off. So I think entrepreneurs, small business owners, whatever you want to kind of call yourself, they understand that there's a sacrifice to be made, but there's also massive payoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Huge payoffs. You don't get.
It is the actual roller coaster that people talk about. It's highs and lows and highs and lows. So it is.
Yeah, but I also don't think let yourself get too high to then let yourself get too low. I think there's some entrepreneurs kind of make it, small business owners again, they make it worse for themselves because they go on that huge wave. And I think, again, that comes back to good people around you. I know my business changed when I got my sister involved, and she helped us with the finance stuff, because now I knew that finance was a weakness of mine in terms of the strategic planning and stuff like that. So it's good people, and also sometimes it's good to not necessarily have too many entrepreneurs around. Small business owners, entrepreneurs can be very kind of magpie. They're always looking for the new shiny thing, and I think you need those other people to kind of balance that. Also, it's really good to have someone that you respect and want to be around to kind of keep you accountable. So I think one of the things that kind of helped me grow was accountability. I was part of a networking group and a business coaching group at the time that every month we used to hand the slip in of the things that we were going to do that month.
Did you always achieve it?
Not always achieve it. No, of course not.
Tried.
But I was going to do whatever it took to try and get as close as I could. So if that meant staying up till 2:00 in the morning, the night before we had the meeting about, what I'd achieved that month, to get something else ticked off, then you were willing to do it because, you knew the next day you were going to have to face that person. And if you respected that person, that was what you were willing to do.
Well, also, if everybody's accountable together and then you let the side down, that's a terrible feeling, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily down. Yeah, exactly. It's letting you down.
People,
that's horrible. That's the whole kind of Weight Watchers thing of stepping on the scales on the Thursday. You don't want to do that.
Which one I would never go to that in a million years. I'll be like, sorry, I ate an Easter egg. Sorry. I love it. Okay, so how did you start your first business then?
So I was actually employed, and it was actually the power of part-time. So before I started my first business, I went to professional football. Okay. So I was working at a club that we won't name today, and we were looking for some supplementation for around the players and things like that. So I actually went and kind of sourced some bits and found a guy locally who could get those products. And whilst I was doing that, he said, well, you do know there's kind of a business opportunity to this. And I was like, not a clue. So I literally, the players needed products and things like that, and they wanted to order products, so someone had to almost open an account, and that was the start of my first business. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about what I was doing, to be honest. I was just doing it as a favour to the players and bits and pieces. So but it taught me a lot also, because it was a network marketing business, and I think for many people those sort of businesses actually can be a really good vehicle to understand business, because all you're going to have to do is worry about sales.
Yeah.
And for me, sales trumps everything in business building. You know, you can deal with operations, HR, all of those things you can kind of get experts in to build. But if you can't sell and you can't build a business, then it's never going to work.
What are you going to do? Yeah. So what would your top tip be for somebody starting out or wants to maybe take a journey like yours? What would your top tip be that you've learned over your period of time in business?
Like sales, because concentrate on sales. You know, there's so many people that make their website beautiful and worry about, you know, the eye in their flyer or isn't quite right, or you know, like the picture isn't perfect, but 80% a lot of time is good enough. Like the amount of time you'll spend with the last 20% to make it perfect, actually you could have probably moved your business forward. So keep as much time as possible sales generating time to start with, because if you do that, like I said, everything else will come. You know, you'll bring some, like my sister came in to do the finance part because I was terrible at it, but I could do the sales part. Somebody else came in to do kind of the HR part. So again, that was fine because I just carried on doing the sales part. So I think it's, you know, it's understanding what you're good at, what you're not good at, being okay with what you're not good at.
Surrounding yourself by those people again, like you said.
Well, I think Gary Vee talks about it quite a lot, is that you could work on your faults all the time and kind of beat yourself up about them and kind of maybe move a fault from being a 2 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10. But actually, if you can just concentrate on the sales bit, if you're good at that bit, then actually having somebody to be able to buy in that's an 8 out of 10 is probably easier.
Breaking it down then, so top tip is sales. Well, top sales tip.
Turn up like nobody else will.
Yeah?
Yeah, like there's so much opportunity. So I walked into a store the other day and everybody's saying the high street's dying and, you know, there's problems and da-da-da.
Customer service is taking really bleak dive, I think.
Well, I think there's two business models at the moment. It's either a race to the bottom, cheapest, or it's give amazing value.
Yeah.
I walked into a store, literally, the warehouse person had already shouted at me in the car park, and I was like, that was nice. So that wasn't a great introduction to the business. I walked into the shop, the guy behind the counter was on the phone. I probably stayed 10 minutes to actually see if he got off the phone or anybody said hello. Not a single person said hello. And I walked back out the shop with having no experience. And I was really ready to spend, you know, a couple of £100 in the shop to kind of like, you know, get the things that I needed. But they didn't see that as value. You know, their business models obviously is a very online business model. So actually, I don't know why they had the shop, because they might as well just get rid of it. But I think there's massive opportunity out there. If you turn up like other people don't, you give a great customer service.
Give people those experiences as well, something different.
Yeah, people will trust you and people will buy from you. So yeah, like just, you know, be different. Don't be scared of being different. You're already different because not everybody's going to start a small business, you know, so you're already different. Carry on doing what you do. Believe in yourself. Don't get sucked into the kind of, I've got a business coach, they're going to tell me what to do. Still have your own filter. Ultimately, it's your business, it's your brand. If it feels right for you, do it. If it doesn't,
well, it's
maybe not the right
very
thing.
True, because when I first started, I took lots of advice from lots of different people, and it was just really overwhelming. And then eventually I filtered those people down to like the people I really thought, what you say really resonates with me. And that was what I listened to, which helped me to build. And
it's like going and asking, you know, a homeless person how to buy a house. It's not...
You've got to choose your right.
You've got to be congruent with it. So, you know, if you want good understanding on finance, don't come to me, because I'm not
I'll ask your sister.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm not a finance expert. But, you know, that's the key is, you know, search people out that are good at what they do, that have walked the journey that you want to walk, and you know, and listen to them.
So obviously we're talking about lifting people and kind of having those people around you, those key people of influence, I suppose. Yep. But how important to you is your network then?
I think network is everything, whether that be the database you've got to work, the people you got in your phone. I think, through some of the difficult moments that I've had in business, and everybody will have difficult moments, it's being able to pick the phone up, talk to the right people, get the right advice, but also going to kind of like networking events, putting yourself out there on social media as well, and building that network is vital, because ultimately, I look at our database at work. It's as big as it is, it's only a small percentage of people in that database that are regular people. So the more you can kind of build your network, your database, things like that, but those people will become screaming fans and buy and buy and buy and buy again. Whereas I think a lot of people chase new all the time, and actually that's got a huge acquisition cost.
And I suppose if they're coming in with one revenue, then you're offering them a complementary opportunity.
Well, not just that, but even so I look at so if you take the school sport business, we obviously do breakfast clubs, after school care, after school clubs, holiday. All of a sudden, you might come in through your child coming to us for a breakfast club, but all of a sudden now it's like, well, actually they love the breakfast club, so they're going to come to our holiday club, and actually from the holiday club they're going to do something else with us,
and then they might do a sports course online, and
mum and dad are really into their fitness, and all of a sudden they see that. So it does. It opens up.
This symbiotic companies is a great idea, great strategy.
Yeah, James Sinclair from the Entrepreneurs Network talks about it folding into existing empire, and I think it's a really good way of describing what he's talking about, in that if it does fold from one business to the next, actually there's a journey and people can understand it, whereas I think if you've got things that are very separate, I think they don't necessarily work, because it's just disjointed.
And also people, you don't have a continual message as well.
No.
If you've got a big why and it's around sport and well-being, and then all of your products build around that, like an onion, all the layers build around that, then it makes your why stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think no matter what you do, if you care about what you do, then I think there's the famous old saying of, people care more about how much you care than actually what you know. And sometimes if people can see that you really, really care, then they're willing to accept that you will make mistakes along the way. Of course you will. But as long as you try and put them right and you care and do the right things by people, then
I love it. Obviously, you've done a lot of learning over your period of time in business. What would be your top recommendation for a book or a thought leader that you follow or are inspired by?
So I think this can kind of be a bit of a dangerous one. So there's thousands of books out there, and there's hundreds of great people out there as well. But I look at kind of the things that I try and absorb now, and the kind of books that I kind of read now. And I think we can all get caught up in kind of just saying to people, read this book, it'll be great for you. And actually that person's nowhere near ready for that book or has understanding of that book. So I think you need to kind of, where are you? Where do you want to be? What do I need to absorb to get to that point, rather than just going, you know what, this is a great book, read it. I think everybody can do that. Everybody. So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? What's going to get you there? More
like stepping stones rather than...
Yeah, I can remember kind of given some stuff when I was first starting out and thinking, I haven't got a clue what any of this is about. And that's really tough, because then you beat yourself up inside and go, well, I'm just stupid. I can't do any of this. So I think you have to be really careful with who you take recommendations from. Again, it's one of those that get the people around you that you trust. I won't take recommendation, I get sent loads, and I won't really take them unless they're from people that I know and trust.
Again, it's people that get you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's people that understand where I am, what I'm doing, what they think will help me, rather than it just being like random kind of random thoughts. You can't go wrong with, some of the storier books out there, like things like Shoe Dog, it's the memoirs of building Nike, so everybody wants to know and understand about that sort of stuff. Some of the bigger leaders like Darren Hardy, Brendan Bouchard, people like that, that their message is fairly simple. But it's also incredibly important. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy is probably one of the books that had the greatest impact on me.
Okay.
But yeah, just find your level.
Make some notes there. I'm going to write some of those down. Buy them later. Waterstones, thanks. Okay, so what about a quote then? Have you got a quote that motivates you, propels you forward?
One that for me is not really banded around, but it stuck with me from my sports days, is that the manager at the time when I was at a club, one of his that he had in the change room was, the biggest room is the room for improvement. I think if you kind of stick with that one on a daily basis, you can't go far wrong.
I love that, because it's about learning, and I think everyone should always learn. Yeah,
I think it was an unusual one for kind of sport. The players kind of took to it as well, so I think,
Okay, next 12 months, organisational king, what are your plans?
Next 12 months, I think online and distance learning is huge. I think it's kind of difficult with the businesses that I run, is that we're probably planning for kind of September 2020 already.
Oh, wow.
So I think that there's such long lead times with contracts and things. So next 12 months is probably pretty much set. I think the only things that we can really kind of change are on a daily basis are kind of the online and distance learning, because again, that just comes down to sales. The quicker that the sales work, the quicker you can ramp it. So online and distance learning, got a lot of things to do around kind of delivery, filming, the sales, markets that we can take it to. We'll see what happens in March with that.
Okay.
I
love it. Exciting. So how can people find out more about you? Where are you?
Hanging out quite a bit on LinkedIn at the moment, ironically. I really like it, actually. It's not a place where I was really kind of active, but at the moment, quite like LinkedIn. I'm obviously on Facebook, Instagram. I just put one out there for that if you are a small business owner and you are on social media, please don't either have a private life one. But B, you need a public profile. If you're setting your profile to private on social media and you're a small business owner, you're probably not doing yourself justice.
It's interesting, because I was getting so many inquiries to my personal Facebook account that I just made my personal Facebook account my business one, and I just stripped out all those pictures of me drunk and just made it.
That's the other side of it. Make sure it's appropriate.
I just tell my friends, don't tag me and stuff.
Exactly. But I see it quite a lot that people kind of, from things like this or lectures or whatever, that they will follow you, and it is a case of that. Obviously make it appropriate, but also it's got to be public, because unfortunately, as small business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever you want, you are leading a public life.
And you've got to build trust. And how can you do that if you're private?
Exactly. So,
Thank you so much for joining us. Amazing tips and hints, and I love it, and I'm going to go and buy some books.
Get some audio books, maybe.
Okay, I like it.
Driving the car.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.